What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today I got a reaction to Alternative Rock and Pop Gems Part 3, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, AnCatDub. Thank you to AnCatDub and all the patrons that make this thing go. We could not do it without you. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. No background really necessary on this. I'm going to link the first two lists down below. Check those out after this. The music will not be in the video, but it will be at a Vimeo link below, so click on that and follow along. Let's go ahead and jump in to the first song. You see it below. We got Fall Into Place by Apartment, released in 2007. The album is The Dreamer, Evasive. Composers are the band Cagari, DeSantis, Gillett, and Fletcher. AnCat says, Apartment was one of a legion of promising British bands of the early 2000s that recorded an album or two, but eventually had to fold due to lack of CD sales. Fans of the TV spy comedy Chuck will probably recognize that Fall Into Place was used in the first season soundtrack. It was also used in the video game FIFA 08 by EA Sports. All right, I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, AnCatDub. Apartment, Fall Into Place, just incredibly catchy. The song itself is just about the fact that he has dreams, but he's not going to have the money or the means to make those come true, and kind of the lamenting of that through all that, but he hopes that it falls into place. The vocals, guitars, keyboards by David Cagari is just really good. Guitar, omnichord, and keys by David DeSantis. The drums by Liam Fletcher. Just really well done. Very catchy song. Very quick paced. Yeah, liked it a lot. Next up, we have Archlight, The Fat Lady Sings, released in 1989. It's a non-album single. Composer's Nick Kelly. The Fat Lady Sings were a rock band from Dublin, Ireland, fronted by singer and songwriter Nick Kelly. Almost immediately after forming in March of '86, they relocated to London and remained there for the rest of their career. Despite this, they consistently enjoyed more media attention and commercial success in their native Ireland with a series of 5 top 20 singles in 1990 and 91. All right, well, let's check it out. Archlight by The Fat Lady Sings, written to, I'm assuming it's a girl who he's encouraging to do all this stuff to like be herself and run free, and it's all going to be good. But then you kind of figure out the end, she burns him down. So I think he's in love with her. Maybe she's not in love with him, or just the power of her burns him down. I thought the keyboards played a nice role in the melody here to really make it stick in your head. And he's got a good voice. So The Fat Lady Sings, never heard of him. Really good song. Next up, we have This Tornado Loves You by Nico Case, released in 2009 from the album Middle Cyclone. And the composer is Nico Case. AnCat says, Sean first got to hear Nico Case on my Alternative Rock Gems Part 1, which remember is listed below. And I think Miss Case is a perfect fit for this third Alternative Rock playlist too. She's an American singer-songwriter and member of the Canadian indie rock group, The New Pornographers, who are awesome, by the way. Case writes songs in many different genres, so it's never been easy to classify. Her lyrics often refer to the natural world and wildlife in a metaphorical manner. Personal favorite of mine, this song features some of her most clever and impressive lyrics. And I actually found a quote she told Paste Magazine the song was inspired by a dream. She said, I had a dream one night about a tornado. It's a really interesting dream, and ever since then, I've been thinking about them. It's a literal story about a tornado in love with a person. That's what the dream was about. It wasn't me that the tornado was in love with. It was a kind of a kid. But yeah, it's a strange story, but I was pretty moved by it. All right. Nico Case, This Tornado Loves You. Love her voice. This is almost like an alternative / alt country song. And I was glad I found that quote for her, because when you listen to the song, you're thinking maybe just this person who's in love with this other person's kind of like a tornado, like they're a mess, right? But it really is about a tornado, and you kind of see it as it unfolds through the lyrics. So definitely clever lyrics on this one. For example, my love, I am the speed of sound. I left them motherless, fatherless, their souls dangling inside out from their mouths, but it's never enough, my love. I'm an owl on the sill in the evening, but morning finds you still warm and breathing. This tornado loves you. What will you believe? What will make you believe me? So that's kind of how it ends. So yeah, really good writing there. Next up, we have Are You Ready to Be Heartbroken from Lloyd, Cale, and the Commotions from the great Rattlesnakes album in 1984. Composer is Lloyd Cale. Wikipedia tells us Lloyd Cale and the Commotions were a British rock band that formed in Glasgow, Scotland in 1982. Between 1984 and 89, they scored 4 top 20 albums, 5 top 40 singles in the UK. Also had success in several other countries, including Australia, the Netherlands, Sweden, and New Zealand. After they broke up in 1989, Cale embarked on a solo career, but the band reformed briefly in 2004 to perform a 20th anniversary mini tour of the UK and Ireland. The Commotion's 1984 debut album, the one that we're taking this out of, Rattlesnakes, contained literary and pop culture references to such figures as Arthur Lee of the Los Angeles band Love, Norman Mailer, Grace Kelly, Eva Marie Saint, Simon de Beauvoir, Truman Capote, and Joan Didion. The group produced 2 more albums, Easy Pieces and Mainstream, before disbanding in 1989. ANCAT says, although actually English, Lloyd Cole's songwriting during the 80s was often evocative of American themes and environments, particularly the American West. So it's perhaps not surprising that Cole would eventually relocate to New York City to continue his career after disbanding the Commotions in 1989. I know this album. I don't know it super well. I've listened to it just a couple times. I don't remember this song. But it does appear in my album draft of that year, 1984. Trey and I did album draft top 10s for every year from 1965 through 2022. So I invite you to go check that out. So this one, I think highly of Lloyd Cole. Are you ready to be heartbroken? Lloyd Cole and the Commotions. Wow. The only problem I had with that song is that it ended, right? The melody on it, the guitar work, his voice is just fantastic. He's addressing this person. I'm guessing a girl, but it could be a guy. You could be writing it just from the outside. I don't know, but are you ready to be heartbroken? Looking like a born again, living like a heretic. Listening to Arthur Lee records. We get the Arthur Lee from Love shout out there, and then in a little while we get Reed Norman Mailer. So yeah, just are you ready to bleed? Are you ready to bleed? Just a fantastic song, man. Golly, I like that song a lot. And next up, we're going to be going off Spotify for All Flowers in Time Bend Towards the Sun. Jeff Buckley and Elizabeth Fraser. I did not know this song existed. Composer is Jeff Buckley. And Cass says Jeff Buckley was the son of 1960s icon Tim Buckley, but he never really knew his father, and sadly he died young, just like his biological father, in a tragic way, by the way. The song All Flowers in the Bend Towards the Sun is actually a live demo rarity. It was never meant to be released, but got leaked on the internet, became an instant fan favorite. Buckley sings a duet with Liz Fraser, Elizabeth Fraser, the lead singer for the Cocteau Twins. Fraser is one of the most distinctive vocalists of the last 20 years. She's known for singing in her own invented language, a kind of gibberish, but have no fear. In this performance, she sings actual English words. Now, Trey loves Liz Fraser and the Cocteau Twins. I respect them. I don't love them as much. I love Jeff Buckley. We got a review of Grace up here, know a lot about Jeff, but I didn't know this thing existed. It's going to be an audio only on YouTube. Let's do it. Wow, an unreleased demo that was never supposed to see the light of day with just 2 vocal powerhouses, Liz Fraser and the great Jeff Buckley. My goodness, man, that song was fantastic. It sounded like a finished product, right? It didn't sound like a demo. It sounded like a finished product, but that was just so good. I was just vibing with a nice 5 minutes, which is a lot of Jeff's songs are longer like that. Great guitar work and just the power of both of them, man. What a gem. Thank you, ANCAT Dub, for that. I didn't know that existed. I already sent the link to Trey so he could listen to it because that's 2 of his favorites as well. Next up, you see below, we got Lover, Lover, Lover from Ian McCulloch, released in 1992 from the Mysterio album. Composer, the great Leonard Cohen. ANCAT says, Ian McCulloch is known as the frontman, of course, of Echo and the Bunnymen. This track was taken from his second solo album, Mysterio, a cover of an early Leonard Cohen tune. An electronica version of Leonard Cohen does not sound like a good idea, but it turned out to be one of the best covers of the period. Note that McCulloch also sang with Liz Fraser, we just had, on one of the other album tracks, as well as on his first solo album. Fraser was a hot commodity in the early 90s. All right, Lover, 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 Ian McCulloch, written by the great Leonard Cohen. Lots of Leonard Cohen up on the channel. Go check that out later. Just a deeper written song, but it works perfectly. ANCAT was exactly right with the electronica, like you wouldn't think it would, but just sticks in yes and Lover, 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 come back to me. Just talking about asking his father, change my name. The one I'm using now is covered up with fear and filth and cowardice and shame. And then later on, he said, I locked you in this body. I meant it as kind of a trial. You can use it as a weapon or to make some woman smile. So some really good Leonard lyrics there, but good song. Next up, we have Some Small Hope for Virginia Astley with David Sylvian, which I've got a reaction to him of, and Ryuichi Sakamoto. Released in 1986. Album is Hope in a Darkened Heart from Virginia Astley. Wikipedia says she is an English singer-songwriter most active during the 80s and 90s. Her songwriting career started in 1980. Her classical training influenced her, as did a desire to be experimental with her music. Although most popular in Asia, most notably Japan, she remains a cult artist in her native England. ANCAT says, I dedicate this track to the memory of Ryuichi Sakamoto, who passed away in April of 2023, just a month ago as I filmed this. Likely the most important Japanese artist of the last 50 years. Was a member of the band YMO, Yellow Magic Orchestra, but he also recorded many solo projects acted in films, and composed music for films. As a film score composer, he won an Oscar, a BAFTA, a Grammy, and 2 Golden Globe Awards. He was a producer of this album for Virginia, supplied much of the instrumentation, and also brought in his past collaborator, English art rocker David Sylvian, to sing a duet with Astley on this track, Some Small Hope. All right, Some Small Hope, Virginia Astley with David Sylvian and Ryuichi Sakamoto. You could definitely tell the production. Sakamoto just had that great production, that their voices fit well together. I mean, the song's about basically their relationship's over, but you got to try to look for the positive in that, even though you feel devastated. I thought the unique start and stop of their vocals, where it then got that little dun, 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 like it really made the song stick in your head and gave it this kind of rhythm to it, this kind of odd rhythm that it just really worked. Next up, we got another one that is not on Spotify. We got In Another Life by XTC, released in 2000 from the album Wasp Star, composers Colin Moulding. Wikipedia quote, XTC were an English rock band formed in Swindon in 1972, fronted by songwriters Andy Partridge, guitars and vocals, and Colin Moulding on bass and vocals. The band gained popularity during the rise of punk and new wave in the 70s, later playing in a variety of styles that range from angular guitar riffs to elaborately arranged pop. Partly because the group did not fit into contemporary trends, they achieved only sporadic commercial success in the UK and the US, but attracted considerable cult following that they still have today, by the way. They've since been recognized for their influences on post-punk, Britpop, and later power pop acts. And Kat says XTC was featured in my Alternative Rock Gems Part 1 playlist. Once again, a reminder down below. But they have a wealth of good material, so I thought we should hear more. And Another Life comes from the Wasp Star album, their last hurrah before the partnership of Partridge and Moulding fizzled out for good. Colin described the song as a celebration of my foibles and my wife's foibles on a canvas of heart-gladdening music with a minimum of sentimentality, not to mention a splash of my mom and dad in there for good measure. In Another Life, XTC, just a fantastic keyboard-driven melody, right? The song is fun. He's just talking about the things that he would be and that his wife could be in another life. And it just really is a feel-good song, right? Not just from the lyrics, but from that melody. Just sounds fantastic. And they should have been way bigger than they were. Next up, we got John Cale with Paris 1999, released in 1973 from the album Paris 1999. Composers, of course, John Cale. And Kat says, John Cale was a founding member of the Velvet Underground, but Lou Reed eventually kicked him out of the band, reportedly because Cale's ideas were too strange and musically undoable. Strange or not, Cale's Paris 1919 solo album helped to create the alt-rock genre, more experimental and diverse sounding than mainstream pop, with rather odd lyrics to boot. Paris 1919 probably wasn't considered suitable for top 40 radio. Love the Velvet Underground. Paris 1919. I'm not going to get into the lyrics because they're pretty complicated, right? The wow, 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 wow really makes it stick in your head. But apparently the lyrics are about the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, one of the worst peace treaties ever signed, right? It helped slowly give rise to Hitler as like a minor instance in that, but considered one of the worst peace treaties of all time. But I'm not going to dive into all that. I'm a former history teacher, but the song itself just very, very pleasant, right? The orchestral backing in there, and Cale sounds really well, and the wow, 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 wow. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes I don't like that. It actually works in this because of the way the orchestra comes in behind and the melody of that. So great choice there. All right, we have 2 songs left. We have Cooling the Medium from Martha and the Muffins, known as M&M during this period instead of Martha and the Muffins, right? Released in 1984, album Mystery Walk. Composers, the great Daniel Lanois, Mark Gain, and Martha Johnson. Wikipedia says Martha and the Muffins are a Canadian rock band active from 1977 to the present, although they only had one major international hit single, Echo Beach, under their original band name. They had a number of hits in their native Canada, and the core members of the band also charted in Canada internationally as M&M. It's M plus M, so I don't know if that's M and M or just M plus M, but sometimes the plus in music means and, but whatever. Probably M plus M. Kat says the production of the Mystery Walk album reminds me a bit of later period Susie and the Banshees and Roxy Music's Avalon album, and the track Cooling the Medium definitely reminds me of the Talking Heads. All right. Cooling the Medium definitely felt in the arrangement the Talking Heads influence. It's just a really good song, right? Just a really, really good song. I have no idea what it's about. I don't know if the river is a metaphor, the water for her being in a difficult situation, needs somebody to pull her out of it. Is she actually trying to kill her? I don't know. But the song itself, the cool and the medium, just fantastic. So I really enjoyed that one. All right, we're to our final track. We got Theaterland by the High Llamas, released in 1995, albums Hawaii. Composer Sean O'Hagan. Wikipedia says the High Llamas are an Anglo-Irish avant pop band formed in London circa 1991. They're founded by singer-songwriter Sean O'Hagan, formerly of Micro Disney, with drummer Rob Alum and ex-Micro Disney bassist John Felt. O'Hagan had led the group since its formation. Their music is often compared to the Beach Boys, a band he acknowledges as an influence, although a more prominent influence were drawn from bossa nova and European film soundtracks. In the mid-90s, Brian Wilson was attempting to organize a comeback album with the Beach Boys and his collaborator Andy Paley. After Wilson's bandmate Bruce Johnston heard the High Llamas' 1996 album Hawaii, an unsuccessful attempt was made to instead coordinate a collaboration between O'Hagan and Wilson. Some of the songs that later appeared on the High Llamas' 1998 album, Cold and Bouncy, were then briefly under consideration to be recorded by the Beach Boys. Sean O'Hagan has also appeared on a number of albums by the English-French experimental pop band Stereolab. All right, the High Llamas with Theaterland. Definitely felt some Beach Boys in there, some horns in the background there, the piano melody, just about really theater, like the theater. It wasn't going well in Theaterland, right? The performance wasn't that good, but his voice, the way he high-pitched it as he ended each line, made it really unique. Never heard of the High Llamas. That's going to take me to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, the very first track, Fall Into Place by Apartment, Lover, Lover, Lover by Ian McCulloch, and In Another Life by XTC. My faves, Cooling the Medium by Martha and the Muffins. We're going to have All Flowers in Time, Bend Towards the Sun from Jeff Buckley and Elizabeth Fraser, and Are You Ready to Be Heartbroken by the great Lloyd Cole, and The Commotions. But I really enjoyed all the songs on the list, as I did the other two lists in this genre of alternative rock and pop gems that ANCAT Dub put together for us. So those are going to be linked, once again, a reminder down below. Let me know what you thought of this list. What were your favorite songs on here? And until next time, guys, I will see you.